So, calibration and the right mix. Of course, there are different types of sprayers. This happens to be a four-wheel sprayer or a ATV, all-terrain vehicle. And this one has a boom on it, but it also set up so you can drive around, and with one nozzle, you can spray out of the same tank. You just have to switch controls over to spraying with the single nozzle. Hopefully, you're not using something like this, but I guess you can make anything work as long as you do it in a safe manner. You mostly have seen these type of sprayers, though. You'll have like a single 1 or 2 gallon where it's handheld, and you have to pump it to give pressure to be able to have spray come out the nozzle. Could be big or small. You carry it around like what you see here, and some people can adapt that to more than a single nozzle. This one has 3 nozzles on it, and you can go a wider width than just one nozzle. This is the one up here on the top right that my husband uses out here. I don't really spray things in case I kill everything, but this is a 3 gallon or so, and you put it on your backpack, and there's a handle on the side where you pump it to every once in a while to make sure your pressure is up and that you're getting the right spray amount coming out, and it's nice and consistent. And again, down here, this is one of those ready-to-use products where you can go out, and as long as you put on your safety equipment and you know what you're doing, then you can use it right out of the jug with the nozzle handle and spray nozzle that comes with it. Okay, so I want to tell you first about how this all works when we're spraying this in agricultural. In these sprayers, they're calibrated to spray a specific amount of gallons per acre of the spray mixture. And that could be 5, where you might see in an airplane, 10, 20, or even 40 gallons per acre. So the sprayer is calibrated using, miles per hour and, how long the boom is and what output of each nozzle. And then what your gallons per acre is coming out of that tank. And then the herbicide label, as you know, gives the appropriate amount of product to apply per acre. So you know the size of the tank. How much herbicide goes in that tank then? Well, let's say our spray tank is 10 gallons, a 100-gallon tank, and we know that we want to spray 10 gallons per acre. And so if we have a 100-gallon tank, that means that we're going to get 10 acres of spray out of that tank and with that sprayer. So this would be like a common recommendation for Roundup or glyphosate, 1 quart per acre. So in your tank, you're going to be able to cover 10 acres. So 1 quart times 10 acre gives you 10 quarts, which ends up being 2.5 gallons of herbicide. And you, in the right mixing order, you put that in your tank, and that way you're spraying out 1 quart per acre in 10 gallons per acre, and you can do that on 10 acres with this particular spray unit before you have to stop and load it up again. Okay, so that's one of those big sprayers, aerial, even chemigation. What about using the smaller sprays like what I showed before? This is a nice handout that Tim Prather sent to me, and he'll have to tell us a little bit more, but I think this has been used in some classes, to show how to calibrate, how to figure out what's happening with your small sprayer. So different kinds of sprayers, different sizes, but let's look more specifically, and just at one of those backpack or hand sprayer, the ones that you carry around, the ones you have on your backpack and you pump. So it's interesting. You don't have to know a lot of special numbers and magic formulas and things like that. The way this is set up is it's based on a principle. That in 1 gallon, you get 128 ounces. And so you set up a test area to spray that is 1/128th of an acre. and the ounces that come out of your sprayer ends up being gallons per acre. So you get the same thing as what the big sprayers do for agricultural um, applications. So for this particular backpack hand sprayer, the step one, and always this step, is to make sure your sprayer is cleaned and rinsed out. And then you put in straight water for this step one. And of course, you make sure your sprayer is working properly, good pressure. There's not any, there's a nice pattern coming out of that spray tip. It's not all clogged up or anything like that. So here's where that 1/28th of an acre comes in. You measure out an area that's equal to that, which is actually 340 square feet. And an example here that Tim has on this handout is maybe you can measure out 18.5 feet by 18.5 feet, or 10 foot by 34 foot, or 1.5 foot by 228 foot. But that will give you that 340 square feet, which equals that 1/28th of an acre. So you go out with your sprayer and you make sure you have a consistent pressure, and you record the time it takes for you to spray that measured area. And don't do that just once, repeat that several times, so you can get down to a good average and, maintain constant pressure in the sprayer. After that, after one of those times, you go to a container, a bucket or something like that. And for the average time that it took you to spray that area, spray it into the bucket, and then measure the water that's collected in ounces. And then the amount of ounces, this is really cool how this works out. The amount of ounces collected equals that gallons per acre. So let's see an example here that's on that handout. Again, make sure your sprayer's cleaned out. You measure out your area to get that 340 square feet, which is 1/128th of an acre. So let's say you're spraying and your average time in that square footage ends up being 51 seconds it takes you to spray out of your tank when the tank is your little tank when the tank is full. And then you go over to your container, bucket, or whatever. You spray for that 51 seconds. If you got 40 ounces, that means 40 ounces equals 40 gallons per acre. So that's what's coming out of your little sprayer, 40 gallons per acre. Remember then, and Tim's going to correct me on this, if your rate is 1 quart per acre, you know that you're spraying 40 gallons per acre, and you could put in 1 quart of herbicide in your tank, and you're going to cover that just like those big ag sprayers are covering. And so let's go back to that a little bit. Remember I said this particular sprayers are calibrated to 10 gallons per acre. You put in that 1 quart acres of 1 quart herbicide, times 10 acres equals the 10 quarts, to make sure that you're spraying that right amount, 1 quart per acre out of that spray tank. But let's think about that in percentages, because that'll relate a little bit more to a smaller sprayer. Okay, quart, that's 32 fluid ounces. Gallons, 128 fluid ounces. 10 gallons then of what you're spraying out of that big tank would be 1,280 ounces. So let's divide the 1 quart. That's what you put in per 10 gallons. So 32 ounces divided by 1280, that equals 0.025, which is 2.5%. So what you have in that big sprayer is 2.5% herbicide in that spray mix. And again, you can go with the total amount too. The whole tank, there's 100 gallons and you're putting 2.5 gallons in there, and that again equals 2.5% of the product that you're putting in that tank. So, wow, big tank, it's going out there, flying all over if it's aerial. What about for my smaller sprayer? Some labels, and there's not a whole lot that we've been able to find, actually have charts for you for what you should mix into a smaller sprayer. And the example here they have in this chart is 1 gallon, 25 gallon, or up to 100 gallon, like what I just showed you with the ag application. And it's important to know, remember some things like this, but you can also find this online or even YouTube, that 2 tablespoons equals 1 fluid ounce, okay? So let's look at in 1 gallon, if you put 2 2/3 ounce of this product in there, you get a 2% solution. All right. So remember that big sprayer, 10 gallons per acre, is a 2.5% sprays in active ingredient in that spray mix. So it's pretty interesting. And again, here they're showing on their chart when you add 2 gallons 100, you get 2%. Again, 2%. So it's interesting how that really works out nicely. We're doing the same thing as those big custom applicators are when they're traveling across the field. And in this particular herbicide label, it's the Roundup Pro, talks about colorants or dyes. And you can buy those and put in your small sprayer. And that's really nice. My husband likes to use that so he knows what he sprayed. He uses a blue one. And so he can see where he sprayed, of course, because the spray comes out blue. So how do you mix all of this? You can, get a lot of things, and even in your hardware store, this is graduated cylinder. It'll have ounces on it and milliliters. The bigger cup you can see has a bigger amount that you can use, and it has the measurements along one side. Maybe ounces on one side, milliliters on the other side. And here's your tablespoon that you could use, or even a set of spoons with different sizes like this. But the really, really important thing, especially with the silverware, is to label those items that you're used for measuring the herbicides so that they're never ever used for food. Okay, I wouldn't want somebody taking this back in the house and mixing up their coffee and half and half. And, sometimes on some labels, they'll just throw in a statement like this: general weed control, put 3 tablespoons per gallon. If you got tough weeds control, put 5 tablespoons per gallon. It just depends on the label. And I like to see the chart rather than see some of these general statements, because then what you're putting on follows the same as what the growers are using on big fields. So what do you do? How do you mix this up? And this is just the basics. And I'm not going to talk about adjuvants, any of the other products that you use in there to make sure that your hard water isn't interfering with your herbicide, or you put on something that helps, it's a surface active surfactant, that helps or sticker spreader, helps the spray stick. The first thing you do or want to do is fill the tank up halfway up with your water, then add the herbicide, okay? And then add more water to fill to the top line. And this little cartoon has this interesting swirl mixer, but agitate, mix, swirl, make sure that your herbicide's mixed into that water for your good spray mix that has the herbicide distributed throughout the tank. So again, start with the water, then add the herbicide, then add more water to get the gallons that you need out of that little tank. And again, here's the triple rinse, triple rinse, triple rinse. When you're done with your sprayer and you sprayed out all your product, you want to fill that up with water and spray it out through that nozzle. You want to do that 3 times. You don't want to just spray this wherever in your driveway or anything like that. You want to spray that rinseate out on your target area. Let's say you're spraying your lawn for broadleaf. So you'd go back with this rinseate and spray over the lawn. And remember that, you want to make sure that this is all going through your little boom or through your wand, because that also cleans that out. Even big growers, or I shouldn't say big growers, but applicators and whatnot, they clean everything else out, but they forget to clean out the boom or the nozzles. So there's still herbicide in there when they mix up for something else, some other field. And it might happen that what comes out of the spray boom right at first is the wrong herbicide for that crop, and it might get damaged. So got to make sure that not only is the tank cleaned out, but you're running that through your boom, your wand, your nozzle to make sure that gets clean. So these are all going to show up here. That's basically what I have. And there's a lot more that we could cover, but we can do that. You just call us up. We'll be posting this online, so that you'll be able to get to it. And you can always email us. My email address is phutch@uidaho.edu. And so thanks, Albert, for letting me jump in on these slides. A wonderful talk that you gave. And again, if you need to contact Albert, here's his email address. He has a Twitter account, and here's his phone. And here's my office phone and my email address.